All right, Mr. Gareth Roberts. So Gareth, 2023, you're starting the year off with a little bit of a bang here.
Yeah.
Running one of the highest performing offices on EDM. Just recently promoted that little square over there. Mr. Badu Kane is now running an office. I mean, that didn't take long. And so anyway, what we really want to cover here today, I mean, just really your mentality. I mean, really, I guess you could call this theme, bouncing back, if you will, but it wasn't that long ago that, I was in Minnesota and I saw some real pain, some real struggle of like, geez, I'm building this little family. I've got two little ones here and I've got, my wife who's working and just the results were slow. And then over time, the momentum caught up and now you're back where you belong, so to speak. But I really want to get into your mentality. What were you doing? What were you thinking? So let's just start off with that, Gareth.
All right. All right. So I'll start off like I remember Sebastian saying, in his like challenging times when he was running an office, he's called his dark winter, or his like the dark winter. I was like, it was dark and it was like minus 20 degrees at the time when I was, in my challenging times. But I was, I had owners and I'd have weekly calls with them. And I feel like because my office wasn't where it needed to be, I feel like my coaching was falling on deaf ears. I feel like I wasn't happy. And so I sat down and I wrote down 3 things that that I was gonna like live by, and then that was kind of the beginning. So the first one I said I'm gonna re-recruit my team every day, and I'm gonna be honest where I am as a business owner. So that was where I came up with my goal sheet, where I'm gonna have like, where I am, my actual numbers, my financial numbers, everything. So there's no secrets, and I would send it out to the people whose opinions I fear the most or I respect the most. And so I just kind of chose what I call my wise counsel. And it was humbling to begin with, but it was also like big weight off my shoulders. I didn't have to pretend that I was doing better than I was. And so all of my dirty laundry was out there. And then the second 2 more important things, I was going to daily remind my wife why I was a good choice and why my kids could look up to me and be proud of it. So that was kind of like the big 3, the foundation of how I was going to build everything up from the beginning. And, and a lot of it was just I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. I hadn't promoted a deal since I became a dad. And, I wanted to be an example that not only to my team, but to, my family that, I'm still the man. 2010 Gareth and 2023 Gareth was my best year I ever had. And, I just needed to make sure that I wasn't comparing myself to anybody else. And I was a victim of that and still am sometimes, but that was kind of where it got started, Jamie.
I think that rule number 4 of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life, I think of don't compare yourself to who someone else is today, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, right? I mean, that's who you're playing against. You can't compare yourself to who someone else is today. That's not a fair comparison. So you've always been hard on yourself. And again, in that, interesting to hear how you were relieved that you don't have to pretend that life is all peachy keen when you're being raw with your quote unquote wise counsel. The part I found fascinating is you had like a daily call with your dad.
Yeah.
So kind of walk through that. I think that's a unique relationship that, one day I hope that my children will be motivated to call me on a daily basis for like an accountability call, but walk us through that.
Yeah, I still have that. It's not every day anymore, but my dad is a 72 2 years. Okay, I'll tell you, I'll back up a second. So my company name is Rhino, and it is my father's nickname. And there's a shield that's in my office, and I named it that. There's like a deep meaning, which I don't talk about it very often. I probably should, but it was, there's a quote I heard. I don't remember who told it to me, but is, always watching. And so his opinion is the one I care about the most of anybody on this planet. And so I named my company that, and I'd see that shit, and I look at it all the time. I have shit everywhere. And so my dad, as I was coming out of the challenging time, we committed to, here's all the metrics that I'm going to commit to. It was my recruiting, it was my finances, it was everything. And then I just had to make sure that I checked in with him when I was on my way home from the stores every day, that I checked all those boxes. And if I didn't, I had to have a reason why. And it, meant a lot to me because he's a busy guy, and it, kept me in check because his opinion does mean a lot to me. And, I think, he made a commitment to me as long as I made the commitment to him that I would follow through with everything that I said. And, I think that has a lot to do with, the rebirth of Gareth, we'll call it.
The rebirth, like Phoenix. Maybe you should call this company Phoenix, huh?
Yeah, right. Phoenix.
That one's taken.
Rise from the ashes. Yeah.
Somebody else.
That was my team name when I was in the field. Fun fact.
All right. And so wasn't that long ago that Mike Ferdinand, I remember he reached out to me. He just visited you in Minnesota. I'm not sure if it's because you were opening up Costco or something. I can't remember exactly why he was there.
I think so. Yeah.
But he just called me. He was just so ecstatic he's like, listen, Jamie, like, Gareth, he's a family man and he's a businessman. He goes in the field, he sets the pace, like he's doing what he needs to do as an owner, because, he didn't have this huge crew of guys. So he himself went in the field and set the pace, and his guys caught wind. From his perspective, he was like, Gareth is doing all the right things. Like he had no criticism. It was just all praise. It's always fun getting a phone call like that. So I want you to kind of go back into your memory bank of that time. I mean, would you agree you were doing all the right things as a family man, as a businessman? And if so, what exactly were those right things that Mike Ferdinand was referring to?
I would like to think I was doing the right things. I'm sure, as you said, I'm pretty tough on myself. I always think I could be doing more. I have a healthy guilt of, what more I should be doing all the time. Yeah, I mean, I did all the things that I don't, that when they tell you what you need to do in order to get out of a slump, I just made a commitment that I was going to go do it. So, I went to the field every day. I recruited every day. I re-recruited my team every day. I trained someone every day. I never went to the field by myself every day. And it was tough on my wife, and it was tough on my kids, and it was, but, I made time for my family. So when I was home, I wasn't at work. And I think that was a important thing. I was really good at, I left my work at work, and, when I was at home, I'm not an energy drink person, but I would, on my way home from the store or, on my way home from the office, I would pound energy drinks and I would sit in the driveway, and I would get myself jacked up and I was exhausted. Like I just put in like crazy amount of hours or work or, doing whatever I was doing so that I could be dad, and I could be like superhero dad. I wasn't like coming in like a, sack of potatoes. And so, Mike was in the car with me when I was doing that. He was like, you're going to drink all 3 of those? And I was like, yeah, my kids are 4 and 1. Like I got to be a superhero when I get home. And I'm exhausted. So I got to make sure I turn that on. So yeah, and I would do that every day. I always wanted to, when I was home for bedtime, I wanted to be dad to be bedtime. But, when I was in the field, I wasn't at home. So, there's a big difference between running an office as a 25-year-old kid to running it as a a father and a husband. And so made a commitment with my wife. I was like, look, when I'm in the field, you can't call me unless it's an emergency. I'm working. I'm getting after it. I'm gonna, I got to get back on point. And we made a commitment together that, when I'm at work, I'm working. When I'm at home, I'm not working. And that was really challenging for me to do for a lot of years. And so when I separated the two, I was able to get a lot of traction. So I think that's probably what Mike was talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot of people, when the season of life is calling us to like, listen, you got to be the point person of your business. Like I just recall in 2012, when we were venturing into mid-market and solar, I'm like, okay, I can't expect my guys to do the work. I got to do the work. And I remember the conversation because we had a 3-year-old son at home. I think he was 2.5, 3 years old. And I'm like, listen, I'm going in the field 5 days a week. These are going to be long days. Plus, I'm double shifting atmospheres. I've got a morning crew and then I've got a res crew coming in, B2B and res. I mean, this is going to be probably the most exhausting time of my career, but it's just a short window. This isn't like, okay, this is what it's going to look like for the next 40 years. So did you have to paint that picture at all for Heather? Like, listen, this is a season that Gareth Roberts is called to be in the saddle. I got to, get it done. Did you have to paint the picture of it's just a short-term window?
I would say I wish I did it better. Okay. I think, because it was like, the question was like, how long is it going to be? And it's the same question we've had for my whole relationship. When I go to the field, she doesn't ask me when I'm coming back because she knows she's going to get the same answer when the job's done. And so it's different when you have children, right? So I painted the picture that I'm going to be working my tail off for as long as it takes, but I'm going to make sure that my family is a priority when I'm planning out my weeks. So, instead of having date nights, we'd have date days. I would get up at the butt ass crack of dawn in order to spend time with my children before they went to school or to daycare or, whatever it was, so that I could get my time in. But first thing on my calendar was time with my wife. That was it. And I think because I devoted that, even though it was only a few hours a week, that was the first thing I wrote down, and we would do it together. And then the rest of it was like grind time and, going bonkers. And, I thought it would take about 6 weeks. It took me about a year to do it. I had a lot of, 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 4 steps forward, 5 steps back. And then I started getting some traction. I just made good decisions. Like the way I look at the bounce back, like this is not my first rodeo of having to go from the bottom of the barrel back up to the top. I've done it. I get phone calls all the time. All to this day, I get them from owners who are like, hey, I've got a deal who's on the verge of shutting it down. And I know you've climbed from the ashes. And, it's just making good decisions in a row, right? It's like, if you're thinking right now, I should go to the field, you're right. If you're thinking I should spend more time on recruiting, you're right. If you're your conscience will tell you the right road, you just got to freaking do it. And, my wife, luckily she's been in this business with me for a really long time. So she knows exactly what it's going to take. And I couldn't be more proud of the amount of time that she spends taking care of the children while I'm, out working my tail off. And, nowadays I have a lot more free time to be able to be more helpful with the kids. And, that was, it was a year of bonkers, crazy effort to where, I don't see myself going back that way. And if I do, I know exactly what I need to do in order to get out of it. So it gives you it makes you make really good decisions. I'm not afraid of, cutting somebody who crushes the field at all. It gives you really good perspective. But yeah, with my wife, it was undefined ending, but we knew it wasn't going to be forever.
Yeah. But so even though you overestimated the time, like, okay, 6 weeks of grind, little did you know it'd be 50 weeks of the grind. Yeah. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's still just a blip on the radar, right? It's not like again, for it was a decade of grinding. It was a season. It was really a 1-year season.
Yeah.
And so how does life look now? And like, how are you approaching 2023 now? Like what, I know you and I have talked about potential comeback manager of the year, and you've got a handful of studs on deck that this could really be a breakthrough year for the Roberts org. But how is that translating? All that grinding for the last year and some, how has that set the stage for 2023?
Me and Badu were, in the office this morning, and we're like, it's so uncomfortable in our office. Right? Alex has been to our space, and we have 39 humans in that office right now, and it's like 600 square feet. Like, it's tiny. It's like a house party. We have like square foot by comfort, we don't have any of that, but square foot by energy, we got a shit ton of that. It's like pencil dancing. The whole people sit on the floor for the morning meetings, and it's exciting. What do I see? I'm going to be broad because I don't, we're going to open 3 offices this year. I don't see how that's not going to happen. But more specifically, one of my 2022 objectives was I'm only going to work with people that I want to hang out with outside of the office. I'm going to work with people that make me not hate my alarm clock when I get up in the morning. And I'm not going to work with people that suck the awesome out of me every day just because they're good at what we do. And I made that commitment last year, and we have an office now it's just so fun. Like that's why I'm dressed the way I am. I'm supposed to be in Iowa right now. I was going to do this call at my in-laws house. I'm going to drop my kids off in Iowa and then heading to Mikey Sanzone's wedding. But I was like, I want to. We had 2 promotions this morning to leadership, and I wanted to be there for them because I freaking love them. They're awesome guys, and they're fun to be around, and the energy is bonkers, and it just feels really fun. And when I get up in the morning, I'm excited. It doesn't feel like it feels super freaking rewarding because I know how hard I freaking worked every day like a crazy person, and we would get a little bit of traction. And now it's, we promoted Badu like 3 weeks ago, and I think we have a bigger head count than I had before he got promoted, I think, or something close to that. But I'm only working with the people I want to work with. I'm working with people that make me feel good every day. And I think through osmosis, those people are going to run offices, and I'm not in a hurry to promote somebody just because they have the numbers. We're going to wait till they're ready to, kick some major butt and take over the world. I'm going to be a lot more strategic about the way I do things as opposed to just pulling the trigger because I'm supposed to. The big thing with 2023 is I'm going to ride my own race. I'm not going to compare myself to anybody else. I wrote down like I'm going to run my schedule the way that I want. I'm going to run my recruiting the way that makes me feel proud. I'm going to work with people that don't hate. That's why I wrote down I'm not going to work with people that make me hate my alarm clock when I get up in the morning. And then, the big thing is I'm just going to make sure that every day I am proud of everything that I do. So kind of like that seal on the wall, I'm going to continue to run my business as if somebody that I truly respect is always watching. And I think that will yield the results. That, if I win awards, awesome. If I don't, that's okay too.
I heard, I was listening to David Goggins, I think, on Joe Rogan recently, where he's just such an insane guy, branded as the world's toughest man. And, he was talking about, it's not father time that's the enemy. You don't have to worry about father time. It's father fatigue.
Yeah.
It's like when as men age, women age, you're fighting your fatigue, not so much time. And so that is an interesting observation. Like, I only want to work with people that motivate me, people that don't suck the awesome out of me, as you're putting it. Such a crucial lesson. Same for a rep in the field. Why are you wasting your time dealing with a customer that you have to overturn 100 times? Like, just go get easy ones. Go talk to people that are easy to talk to, and it makes the field fly by as well too. It's not so exhausting. So I'm just kind of curious, why did you have to relearn that lesson? Like, I think, and I'm not picking on you, I think we all have to relearn that. I find as time goes on, I'm like, I find myself recycling old lessons that I had learned many, many moons ago. But why do you think you had to kind of relearn that?
I don't know, think I relearned it. I think I decided to commit to it. I always knew, like, when you're not doing well, you'll hire people because they're good at what you do, even though they freaking suck the awesome out of you every day, um, you'll work with. I was asking one of the guys this morning, I was like, who was around, during the time when there was only 4 of us. And I was like, what do you think the big thing was? And he was like, when you terminated this guy and this guy. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, because they were just so negative all the time. Like everything was just so boo-hoo. And, and it didn't, I didn't terminate them because they were bad at the business. I terminated them because they were just assholes. Like they crushed the field. They were both really good at what we do. And they were just, energy vampires. And, funny that he said that. What didn't even, register in my head. But, I made a commitment really close to that time that I wasn't going to work with people that were problem finders. I want somebody who consistently is actively trying to solve problems, not necessarily looking to find them all the time. And I think I just made the commitment to actually follow through with that belief system, as opposed to, I'm not doing well, this person is crushing the field and they're helping me pay the bills, but I'm miserable when I'm around those people. And I know that was translating to other people. And I remember terminating those people. We took a step back production wise, but we took a massive jump forward pretty quickly after that, because people were, they didn't hate coming to the office to see those guys. People don't leave jobs because of the job. They leave because the people suck. You work with amazing people. You can shovel manure all day. You can make $1 million doing anything, as long as you got a bunch of awesome people to shovel with. Our business is not the sexiest in the world. It's just got a really good, cool end game, and, I think people work with us not because I try and make them stay, but because they enjoy being around me. I enjoy being around them. And we have we're going to the same place. I want them to hit their goals. Because of that, they help me hit mine. And I'm really honest about that daily. I'm also really honest when I don't think somebody is a good fit, and I'm pretty quick to help them find something else to do, especially if there's a culture challenge. Like if I feel like that it's messing with the vibe, I'm really quick to, cut the cord.
Great. Well, we only have a few minutes left here, Gareth. Any other parting thoughts just on, bouncing back? Any other thoughts on the rebound?
Yeah, I don't know if I look at it as a rebound. I don't know if I rebound. I think I feel like I just decided to make good decisions in a row. I'm really good at the foundation of the business. The field part I'm strong at. I enjoy it. But I think, when my conscience over here was telling me, you should get up earlier, I just started to get up earlier. When they told me I should start reading books, I started reading books. When they told me I should be in the field, instead of selling myself on why I shouldn't do it, I just did it. I should train this person instead of going by myself, so I'll go train that person. I just listened to my conscience more often. And I didn't all the time. I'll be the first to tell you I'm not freaking perfect, but the more times I did, I always knew the right thing to do. I just made the decision to act on it, as opposed to, just let it pass to where I didn't have to do it. And, now we're, doing 25,000 hour wires.
That's great, Gareth. Well, I love to see the momentum. I mean, I love to see good things happen to good people. So you deserve exactly what's coming your way, right now. So keep up the great work. You're a great role model for all the dads out there, all the husbands out there, and of course, all the owners. I mean, you're a really good example, Gareth. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, Coach, give me a call whenever you want, man. I got you.
All right, you guys, have a great rest of your week.